Good morning, everyone. Today's Tuesday, September 11th, and this is the Futures in 5. Let's start with our ES right here. We can see that we are dancing around these levels, but we have lost it, and we continue to trace a bit lower. We've got a couple of sideways actions here. You can see the volume profile filling in right there. Here are the edges that we watch, 2873, 2885. So here's the thing. It could break. We are sitting very near the neutral zones, and so there's no weighting that is really forced on one end or the other. So we could easily break down. We could also easily bounce and move up into the space. What do you want to do? Listen, if you want to catch a bottom, then you say, hey, I'm going to take this long here. My stop has got to be 3 points wide. If I lose, 2870, 2871, I could get stopped out. It could turn right around and pop right back up. My thought is it really is any man's game here in this space, but the lower highs that we are getting on our tighter time frames and the lower lows in the space really telling us that we've got ourselves some issues. So be careful there. Failed retest. If you want to look at the 30-minute chart, wait for the first 30 minutes. This candlestick really began to fade at the open of the European markets. About 30 minutes in, it started to fade. And so I do think they're trying to test some sort of sport edge. So we have to watch that very carefully. Taking a look at the NQ, look at these pockets of low volume sitting here. It could make things pretty noisy, but the fact is the chart really does need to hold the region near 74.28. That's going to be where we're caught. We're caught between 74.28 and 74.88. That's 60 points, so there's a lot of motion there. A lot of sellers seem to be right at around the 74.48 marker, seeing a lot of them there and giving the trade up in terms of trying to hold support in that space. So we're watching those edges. If we do lose this 74.28 area, it will have a failed retest event. More than likely, we need to watch that. Failed retest takes us down into the lows of the prior week. If we take a look at our next chart, which is the YM, this is the one that really is the weakest of the bunch. Since I took this image much earlier in the day, the chart has dropped another 30, 40 ticks in the space. 25,768, really about a support zone, but, to be very honest, there's a lot of low volume profile motions all the way to 25,640. So this region is on the hunt for support. There's no doubt about it. It faded off of this edge very neatly, and so this area near 25,745 to 25,768 is the near-term support we'll need to watch. Bounces are likely to fade. We're in a very sideways press. Taking a look at oil. Oil is going to feel the heat from all this downside pressure. Traders are trying to hold the support area around the low of this morning, 67.50. We'll need to watch that. It still is holding that low, but if it does lose it, because we are in a neutral formation, we should fade and then give us a first pass bounce. If that bounce loses, we've got more downside. So you've got a decision to make. If you are a bottom picker, then wait until it gets to the bottom and then say, all right, I'm going to take this trade long and set your stop, right? I mean, if you say, all right, I want to take this trade long at 67.40, 67.38, you can see that the price action is going to give you about 15 cents of motion. And if you don't hold that, it's further to the south. So you make a decision and you take the trade, and it's either right or it's wrong. Right? It's not a matter of, okay, where is it going to go? Nobody really has a crystal ball. You take an assessment of where you believe your trade is going to hold primarily, and you assess the risk. If the risk gives you something that you can live with, then you go for it. Lastly, with gold, we've seen a lot of people try to pick the bottom here, and a retest of the bottom really is very likely. We've already dropped 20 something ticks off of this test that we had here in the space, and now making a new low below this edge. So we are looking for something to come back into the space, maybe even lower. Hard to say, but my thought is that we are in a fade space across the board. All right, that is the futures in 5. Watch your edges.